Imagine living longer, healthier, for much less. Most European countries have a lower cost of living than Tennessee, and for such low prices, you get really good quality of life and a much higher life expectancy. So you pack your bags, land in your dream country in the old continent, but here's the twist. You discover there is no visa that allows you to stay longer. That's the reality in several EU countries, but not all. I spent the last 5 years helping people to move to Europe, and it still surprises me how different are the rules in each European nation. Some EU countries require 4,500 euros a month just to consider your application. Others, less than 800 euros. Today, I'm ranking all 27 EU countries from the hardest to the easiest to obtain a temporary residency visa. And watch it to the end because by the time we reach the top countries in this ranking, you'll see just how simple, sometimes shockingly simple, life abroad can be. The criteria. This ranking considers only temporary residency visas. For most non-EU citizens, that's the entry point to live in Europe. After a few years on a temporary permit, you can often move to permanent residency and eventually citizenship. We rate and rank each country based on 3 factors. Do they have a visa for pensioners, retirees, or remote workers? How big is the financial proof you must show and how demanding and time-consuming the process is in practice? The order runs from the most restrictive, where staying long-term is nearly impossible, to the most open, where rules are clear and thresholds are low. Our focus today is residence as a retiree or remote worker, not residence by investment. But if you want me to rank the EU countries on how easy it is to obtain residence by investment, let me know in the comment section. So let's start. The hardest country in Europe to obtain a temporary residency visa, Denmark. Denmark might look appealing from the outside, safe, organized, and with high living standards, but for non-EU citizens wanting to live there without a local job, the door is essentially shut. There is no retirement visa, no financial independent person permit, and no digital nomad visa. The only legal options are tied to work, studies, or family reunification. Even though many Danes speak excellent English and official information is often available in it, those advantages don't matter without a matching visa category you can apply for. Denmark ranks last in this list because the obstacle isn't high income requirements or complex paperwork. It's the complete absence of a program for FIPS. And the Danes are restrictive beyond just temporary residence. In a previous ranking we made about the hardest and easiest countries in Europe for permanent residence, Denmark was considered the hardest. This is what a local told us about immigration to Denmark. Open quote. It's quite difficult for non-EU people to gain entry beyond tourist visas. To study for a PhD is a possibility, but once again, it requires you to be able to justify that your PhD is worth granting your entry. It's very difficult to gain access, and long-term permission is even harder, end quote. And when it comes to citizenship, the country is again among the strictest. Each new citizen must be individually approved by the national parliament before their naturalization is confirmed. Ratings for Denmark, the lower, the hardest. Requirements factor, 0. Process and English friendliness factor, 0. And by the way, I'm not saying that strict immigration laws are wrong. Every country has its own reasons for having either strict or relaxed requirements. I am an expat consultant, not a political commentator. I'm not here to judge immigration policies, but to help you with them. 26. Sweden. Sweden offers stability, modern infrastructure, and a reputation for a high quality of life. But if you plan to live there without taking a local job, the rules create a hard stop. There is no visa for retirees, people with passive income, or digital nomads from outside the EU. The legal options are narrowly defined. Work permits tied to a Swedish employer, study permits for those enrolled in courses, or family reunification if you have close relatives there. For financially independent persons, none of these fit. Ratings, requirements, 0. Process and English friendliness, 1. The process is complex, but explanations exist in English. And talking about simple, effective explanations of complex matters, if you do enjoy our data-based, research-driven videos that we put a lot of work to do, I would be glad if you could click on the like and subscribe button. It would be such a great help for us. 25. Finland. Finland is known for its lakes, quiet cities, and high levels of safety, but if you want to stay there long-term without taking a finished job, the rules leave little room. There is no retiree visa, no passive income route, and no digital nomad permit for non-EU citizens. Residence permits are tied directly to work, study, or family connections. Proof of large savings or steady foreign income won't get you through the system unless you meet one of those core categories. Ratings, requirements 0, process and English friendliness 1. 24. Belgium. Belgium sits in the middle of Western Europe, with quick train links to capitals all around. On paper, it sounds like a perfect base. In practice, there is not really a visa specific for retirees, pensioners, or remote workers. The so-called financial independence permit exists, but approvals are made on a case-by-case basis. Applicants must generally show substantial savings or income, and often a connection to Belgium, such as Belgian family, property, etc. But it's all quite confusing. There is no published minimum income, no set list of accepted documents, and outcomes can vary even between applicants with similar profiles. While some guidance is available in English, every document must be translated into Dutch, French, or German. Ratings: Requirement 1. Process and English friendliness 2. 23. Poland. Poland's still affordable prices for housing outside major cities, groceries, and services can make it look like a retiree's dream. But if you plan to stay long-term without taking a Polish job or starting a local business, there is no direct visa option for passive income or patience. Most applicants end up relying on work, study, investment, or family grounds. Some try the self-employment route by registering a sole proprietorship, but that adds tax filings, business plans, and proof of activity. More of a workaround than a clear right. All applications must be prepared in Polish, and most require certified translations. As someone who speaks Polish, I can say it's not an easy language, but it's fun to learn it. Poland earns the same score as Belgium, 1 for requirements and 2 for process ease. 22 is Slovakia. Slovakia does not have a specific visa for non-EU FIPS. Any attempt would involve other visa types, for example, registering as a sole proprietor, živnost, and getting a trade license based on residence, but the process is bureaucratic and requires numerous documents in Slovak. While younger Slovaks speak English, public officers, some working in the same station since communist times, mostly require to speak Slovak or bring a translator. Just like Poland, Slovakia gets the same scores, 1 for requirements and 2 for process ease and English friendliness. 21. Lithuania. Lithuania's low living costs and compact cities might appeal to someone looking to stretch a pension, but the residence path for non-EU retirees is far from clear. The closest option of a temporary residence permit for a FIP is a 1-year national visa D, but the rules for it are vague. There is no publicly stated minimum income, and approvals seem to depend on individual officer decisions. Since there is no dedicated scheme, an application would hinge on proving you have sufficient financial resources for your stay and possibly some connection in Lithuania. At the end of the day, it would depend more on the interpretation of the immigration officer. On top of that, all forms and supporting documents must be in Lithuanian with certified translations. The ratings for Lithuania are 1 for requirements and 3 for process ease and English friendliness. 20 is Slovenia. Slovenia has announced a 1-year Digital Nomad Residence Permit to launch in late 2025. When that happens, you can expect it to rise to go from the hardest to the easiest half of this ranking, but since this program isn't in effect yet, Slovenia is still considered to have no active option for now, so it is still among the hardest countries in Europe to obtain a temporary residency visa. Slovenia's immigration process historically requires Slovenian language documentation, and until the Nomad Visa launches, an independent applicant would have to open a company or enroll in school to gain residency, complicated steps with local language bureaucracy. Slovenia's ratings remain low in the ranking until the new visa is active. They get a 1 for requirements and a 3 for process ease. 19. The Netherlands. The Netherlands attracts people with its strong economy and English-friendly environment, but if you want to live there without a local job, the options are narrow. There is no general retiree or passive income visa available. Non-EU citizens typically must qualify via work, including a strict point-based self-employment visa, or study, or the Dutch-American Friendship Treaty, DAFT, if you are a US citizen. The DAFT is a special scheme allowing Americans to start a small business in the Netherlands with a low investment and obtain residence, effectively a workaround for some financially independent Americans. But for all other nationalities, the only realistic option is the self-employed permit, which works on the points-based system I mentioned before. You must prove that your business will benefit the Dutch economy, meet experience or education criteria, and provide a detailed business plan. English is widely used in government offices and official instructions, so the process is easier to understand. But the legal barrier remains. The Netherlands get a 1 for requirements and a 4 for process ease. It's accessible if you are American, but very hard if you're not. 18. Germany. Germany does not offer a named retirement or passive income visa for non-EU citizens. That said, Germany residence law has some flexibility. A person with sufficient means can in theory be granted a residence permit for private purposes, but typically one must demonstrate a reason, such as long-term ties or humanitarian grounds. There is also the Freiberufler visa, also known as freelance visa. That freelance route requires more than proof of income. You must show relevant qualifications, possibly client contracts, or a viable business plan and sufficient funds. In major cities like Berlin, applicants often need to show income around 2,000 euros per month plus savings, and sometimes letters of intent from potential German clients. If you are purely living on a pension or foreign salary with no German business activity, many local authorities may refuse a freelance visa. All the paperwork must be in German. Official translations are mandatory, and most applications involve in-person appointments at the local immigration office. We give to German a 2 for requirements and a 4 for process ease and English friendliness. 17. The Czech Republic. In the Czech Republic, there is no formal retiree or remote worker visa, but there is a non-workaround. Non-EU nationals can apply for a long-term visa for the purpose of business by obtaining a Czech trade license, Živnostenský list. This essentially means registering as self-employed in Czechia. Authorities have become stricter about making sure the business exists and operates. Applicants are often asking for contracts or client agreements to prove genuine business activity. Still, some expats have used this route to live in Prague. It's not a retirement visa per se, but it has functioned as a de facto nomad visa for some. All documentation must be submitted in Czech, and certified translators are required. The application process involves multiple offices: trade licensing, foreign policy, immigration, each with its own set of forms and timelines. This system makes the route possible but bureaucratically heavy, especially for someone without local language skills or business activity. The Czech Republic gets a 3 for requirements and a 5 for process ease. The Czech score is higher than the previous countries because numerous non-EU expats have, in fact, navigated, meaning it's doable with WIDAs. Still, without Czech language support, it's hard, and processing can take 3+ months. The Czech Republic is the last country in this ranking that do not have a temporary residence visa program for FIPS like retirees, pensioners, digital nomads, etc. From now on, the next countries all have a dedicated temporary residence visa for FIPS. 16. Ireland. For English speakers, Ireland might look like one of the easier EU countries to move to because there is no language barrier. But for financially independent people, the main route is through what's called Stamp Zero. This is permission to reside if you can fully support yourself without access to public funds. The catch is the income threshold, at least 50,000 euros a year per person plus enough savings to cover unexpected costs. That is why among the 16 countries that do have a temporary residence visa for FIPS, Ireland ranks the lowest. It has the most financially demanding visa. You also need a private medical insurance that matches Irish requirements, and the application can take several months from submission to approval. The process is clear and handled entirely in English, which removes the translation burden many other countries have. Still, the financial requirement rules out many applicants, even those who could live comfortably in Ireland on less. Overall, the high cost places Ireland in the middle of the table. We give them a 2 for requirements and a 6 for process ease. 15. Austria. Austria has a very clear residence permit for financially independent persons. On the surface, that makes it sound open and straightforward, but the program has a strict annual quota. Only a limited number of slots per year are available for the residence permit, so timing is critical. To qualify, you must show a minimum income of about 23,000 euros per year for a single applicant, proof of accommodation in Austria, and private health insurance that covers a full range of services. On top of this, and very uniquely, Austria also requires applicants to show knowledge in German, A1 level, at the first application, unless exempt by age or other factors. A1 German is beginner level, but it still means you need to take lessons and obtain a certificate before applying. If you are planning to learn a new language, the secret weapon I recommend to all my clients is Linky. It's the tool I used to learn one of the hardest languages in Europe. Back to the subject. In Austria, applications must be submitted in person, and all foreign documents need certified translations into German. While the process is clearly defined, it's also competitive and documentation heavy. Clear rules, but high demand and added language barriers, Austria gets a 3 for requirements and a 5 for process ease and English friendliness. 14. Italy. Italy's Elective Residence Visa is one of the most recognized residence routes in Europe for non-EU retirees and individuals living off passive income. It's designed specifically for those who can support themselves without working in Italy. But the financial requirement is steep, around 31,000 euros per year for one person. If a spouse joins, the requirement increases by about 20%. Applicants face a detailed process that involves gathering proof of steady income, bank statements, private health insurance, and other documents that must be officially translated to Italian, and you need to apply through the Italian consulate in your home country. It's a route that works well for those who have the income and are not in a rush, but it demands patience, preparation, and a budget that comfortably exceeds the minimum requirement. Italy gets a 4 for requirements and a 5 for process ease. Italy's bureaucracy is known to be slow and a bit chaotic. Getting just the initial permesso card can take 2 months or more. 13. Estonia. Estonia was one of the first EU countries to officially introduce the Digital Nomad Visa, putting a legal framework around what many remote workers were already doing. The permit allows you to live in Estonia for up to 1 year while earning your income from clients or employees outside the country. The biggest limitation is the income threshold. You must show a monthly income of about 4,500 euros before tax for the 6 months prior to applying. This figure is far higher than local living costs and one of the highest in Europe. The application process is straightforward, with online forms and clear instructions available in English. You submit your materials digitally, then attend a short appointment at an embassy or in Estonia. Estonia gets a 3 for requirements. The financial threshold there is high. We give them a 7 for process ease, since the process itself is fast and friendly, but the short validity period keeps it from ranking higher. 17. Romania. Romania's Digital Nomad Visa, introduced in 2022, gives remote workers a legal way to live in the country while earning income from abroad. It's not the cheapest in terms of financial requirements. You must show a pre-tax monthly income of about 3,700 euros, along with proof that you have worked remotely for at least 12 months before applying. It has lower requirements than Estonia, but it's still much higher than other European countries I will show you next. The process itself is a bit more old school. Most documents need to be in Romania, so certified translations are unavoidable, from proof of income to insurance policies. The scores for Romania are a 5 for requirements, not among the highest, but still much higher than some of the next countries in this ranking, and a 5 for process ease and English friendliness. Additionally, Romania now allows family reunification for Nomad Visa holders, a plus if you have a spouse or kids. They can get visas too as dependents. 11. Latvia. Latvia has a straightforward route for certain retirees. If you are 65 or older, you can apply for a temporary residence permit with proof of pension of just 684 euros per month. That's one of the lowest income thresholds in the EU for a legal long-term stay. For others, there is also the Digital Nomad Visa, but the requirements there is far higher, about 2,500 euros per month earned from work outside Latvia. Processing times are relatively short compared to other countries, as long as you provide all the required paperwork with certified translations to Latvian. The mix of low bar retirement access for seniors, plus a higher bar modern nomad visa, gives Latvia a degree of choice that many countries lack. Latvia gets a 6, both for requirements and for process ease. Now we will enter the top 10, the easiest countries to obtain a temporary residency visa in Europe. But before, I have some really good news. My Expat Wealthy Lifestyle Compass, valued at $180, is yours free for a limited time. Receive our 74-page analysis of affordable cities in Spain, Italy, and France, our guide for zero income tax countries that can save you up to $15,600, and the checklist that prevents costly mistakes. Don't let your chances go away. Scan the QR code now and join us for free. 10. Hungary. Hungary's white card residence permit is aimed directly at remote workers who earn their living from outside the country. It covers freelancers, employees of foreign companies, and business owners whose clients are abroad. The income requirement falls between 2,000 and 3,000 euros per month, depending on how long you have had that source of income. One advantage is flexibility in where you can apply. If you are already in Hungary on a short-term visa or visa-free stay, you can submit your white card application from inside the country. That means no need to return home for a consulate appointment. With moderate income requirements and an in-country application option, Hungary opens the top 10 with a 7 for requirements and a 6 for process ease. It loses some points in process due to the typical Hungarian bureaucracy. 9. Luxembourg. Luxembourg offers a residence option for financially independent people, but it comes with one of the highest income thresholds in the EU, 2,313 per month after tax, and this threshold is based on the local minimum wage, which means it might increase year after year. You must prove this income is stable and recurring, not just from savings. On top of that, you need to secure a local address before applying, which can be a challenge given the country's small housing market and high rental costs. What sets Luxembourg apart is the long-term reward. After just 5 years of continuous residence, you become eligible to apply for citizenship, one of the fastest timelines in Europe. Though language requirements for citizenship are another story. Luxembourg scores 7 in requirements for the high but clear income bar and 6 in process and English friendliness because the process has language barriers despite being relatively well structured. 8. Croatia. Croatia now allows digital nomads to apply for a residence permit that lasts up to 3 years. That's far longer than many other EU countries, and it removes the stress of yearly renewals. For anyone earning their income online, it's an opportunity to stay in one place without the constant cycle of paperwork. To qualify, you need to show proof of at least €3,295 per month in income. Yes, quite a high threshold, but there are other advantages which I will review soon. The income must come from outside Croatia, and you must prove that. English is widely spoken, particularly within official processes related to the program, which makes application much easier for most foreigners. Croatia scores a 5 in requirements, losing points for the high financial bar, but earns an 8 in process, since the visa is valid for 3 years and has minimal language barriers. 7. Spain. In Spain, for non-EU citizens who are financially self-sufficient or working remotely, there are 2 main visa routes. The first is the Non-Lucrative Visa, aimed at retirees or those living off passive income. You must prove an income of at least €25,800 per year, agree to not perform any paid work in Spain, and spend more than 6 months a year in the country. The second is the Digital Nomad Visa, for those actively working online. It requires around €28,000 per year in income, proof of remote work, at least 3 years of experience or relevant qualifications, and allows up to 20% of your income to come from Spanish clients. While the NLV suits those not planning to work, the DNV is tailored for active remote workers and allows limited Spanish income. Both have higher income thresholds than options in Portugal or Greece, but are still attainable for many. Spain scores a 6 in requirements for its relatively higher financial bar, and 8 in process for clear procedures and having 2 distinct visa options. 6. Malta. Malta is one of the few EU countries where English is an official language, making it easier for many foreigners to manage daily life and administration. It offers sunny weather, a stable environment, and 2 main residency routes for non-EU citizens who are financially independent. The first is the Nomad Residence Permit, NRP, created for remote workers. Applicants must earn at least €2,700 gross per month from work outside Malta. The application requires a small set of documents: proof of income, proof of employment, or business ownership and health insurance. Family members can be included. The process is done entirely online, with most approvals taking 2 to 4 weeks. The second is the Global Residency Program, GRP, aimed at retirees and high net worth individuals looking for a more permanent base. It requires purchasing or renting property above a certain value, paying a €15,000 annual flat tax, and having passive income from abroad. The NRP is a flexible short to mid-term option, while the GRP suits established retirees or investors. Both benefit from Malta's English-speaking officials, no translation needed, and online submissions. The toughest part is finding suitable housing in a tight and expensive rental market. Malta scores 6 in requirements and 9 in process and English friendliness for its simple, fully English process and multi-year visa validity. 5. Cyprus. Cyprus offers a warm climate, relaxed pace, and the advantage of English being widely used in daily life in government offices. For non-EU citizens who are financially self-sufficient, there are 2 main residency routes. The first is the Digital Nomad Visa for remote workers earning from outside Cyprus. You need a net income of at least €3,500 per month, with the threshold increasing if you bring family. You can't work for Cypriot clients, and health insurance plus a clean police record are required. The second path, category F, is aimed at retirees or people with passive income. Officially, the income threshold is just €800 per month, but in practice, above €2,000 per month is safer to ensure approval. You must also buy a property worth at least €100,000, and no work is allowed. An added plus is that this temporary residence permit is renewable long-term and can eventually lead to permanent residency. No language exam is required and English documentation is accepted. Cyprus scores 7 in requirements for its low retirement bar, a solid digital nomad option, and 8 in process for its English-friendly administration. 4. France. France is one of the most requested countries when people ask me about moving to Europe as a retiree, pensioner, or remote worker. The long-stay visitor visa, or visa de long séjour, is especially popular among retirees and people living from passive income streams. The visa is valid for 1 year, renewable annually, and after 5 years you can apply for a citizenship or a 10-year residence card. The income requirement ranges from about 1,300 euros to 2,000 per month per person, with higher amounts for couples. On this visa, remote work for companies abroad is accepted, as long as you don't have French clients. France does not require massive savings or property purchases. A middle-class pension or social security check is enough. Any stable verifiable source counts towards the income threshold. Pensions, investment returns, and rental income are common. Another advantage is flexibility. While the visa is designed for residents, there is no strict minimum stay enforcement, making it appealing for people splitting time between countries. You apply at a French consulate, processing usually takes 2 to 3 weeks, and documents must be in French or officially translated. Once in France, you validate the visa and renew it yearly. France scores 9 in requirements for its modest income bar and 6 in process and English friendliness due to the yearly renewal requirement. 3. Bulgaria. Bulgaria is one of the most affordable countries in the EU, and it has a residence option built specifically for retirees. It's called Type D Pensioner Visa, which then leads to a renewable residence permit. You stay 5 years on this permit, and you can apply for permanent residency. To qualify, you must be officially retired and receiving a pension. An official pension certificate is required as proof. There is no income threshold, only the need to show sufficient means. In practice, even 500 euros per month in pension income can be enough. Having a bit of savings and opening a local Bulgarian bank account can strengthen your application. Other requirements include proof of accommodation. This can be through ownership, a rental contract, or an invitation from a host, and a willingness to transfer your pension into Bulgaria. You apply at the Bulgarian embassy with all foreign documents translated into Bulgarian and apostilled. The Type D visa can take up to 45 days, after which you apply for the residence permit in Bulgaria. The process is paper-heavy, English is not widely spoken in offices, and most applicants use local agents to simplify it. Bulgaria scores 10 in requirements for its very low financial bar and a 6 in process and English friendliness for having a relatively clear process but some language and bureaucracy hurdles. 2. Greece. Greece has long been attractive for its sunny weather, relaxed pace, and one of the best tax schemes for expats in Europe. Greece offers 2 visa routes for non-EU citizens who want to live there, the Financial Independent Person Visa and the Digital Nomad Visa, both with similar requirements. The first is for those not working, while the Nomad Visa is explicitly for remote work with foreign employers. To qualify, you need an income of at least 2,000 euros per month for one person, plus 20% if a spouse joins, and 15% for each child. This income can come from pensions, rental properties, investments, or remote work for employers outside Greece. No property purchase is required, there is no age limit, and no language test to get the visa, though one is needed later for citizenship. The process starts with applying for a National D visa at a Greek consulate, then obtaining the residence permit after arrival. The FIP is valid for 2 years, while the Nomad Visa starts at 1 year and can be extended. Officially, you should spend 6 or more months a year in Greece, but enforcement varies. Greece scores a 9 in requirements for its relatively low income threshold and 7 in process and English friendliness for being straightforward apart from standard bureaucracy. The easiest country in Europe to obtain temporary residence, Portugal. Portugal ranks first because it combines very low entry requirements with clear and proven process. 2 visas cover almost every kind of financially independent applicant. The D7 Passive Income Visa and the D8 Digital Nomad Visa. The D7, introduced in 2007, was built for retirees and people living on passive income. For the D7, you need to show about 760 euros per month for the main applicant, plus 50% for a spouse and 30% for each child. Income can come from pensions, rental properties, dividends, or royalties. You should also show savings equal to at least a year of living costs, around 7,500 euros for a single person, or 12,000 euros for a couple, with more help in your case. The D8 targets remote workers earning around 2,800 euros per month from foreign employers or clients, but otherwise follows a similar process to the D7. You can apply in a Portuguese consulate, presenting documents such as bank statements, income proof, accommodation evidence, and a short motivation letter. The visa is valid for 4 months, during which you attend an appointment in Portugal to receive a 2-year residence permit. Portugal scores a 10 in requirements for its unmatched low bar and 8 in process and English friendliness for its smooth steps and strong expat support. Now, once you get the temporary residency visa in Portugal or any of the countries we mentioned today, and live there for a few years, the next step is to get a permanent residence permit. In contrast to a temporary residence permit, a permanent residence permit gives you much more stability and even some other great benefits, like citizenship. And for permanent residence, some countries are really hard, while others are extremely inviting. That's why I ranked the 27 EU countries on how hard or easy it is to obtain permanent residence. To check this ranking full of surprises, click on this video here at your left. Enjoy my Patreon for all the sources, charts, and maps from our videos, plus a chat so I can answer your questions. Tier 2 includes my top 3 ebooks on living and returning abroad. Scan the QR code today.